Hello and welcome to Mamarama, Jersey City's only parenting show. Huh? Well, what did you expect? I have so much competition out there. I don't know if this plain background is working, but I'm gonna just give it a go because we have a lot to focus on today. Today is a kind of a special show. I've never done a show like with this intent before. It is, I'm calling it the Dad Show, and today I'm going to be addressing specific questions from new fathers or fathers-to-be, more specifically fathers-to-be, and the concerns and fears and so forth that they have. So, you know, I polled a bunch of dads, and these were the responses, these are the questions that I got. So I am not responsible for this content here, but I did feel that it was important to try and answer some of these very interesting and valid questions, although you'll notice that there's a specific theme going on here. And, you know, if sexual content makes you uncomfortable, then turn the channel now, because that's what, you know, we're going to be focusing on today, because it's the Dad Show. All right, so what did I want to say? I wanted to give a quick plug to Duck Duck Goose, the only children's consignment store in Jersey City. We're just a whole bunch of onlys here, you know. We're renegades. We're all starting out, right? The new frontier. But Duck Duck Goose is on Erie Street, just off of Newark. If you walk away from Newark, walking north past the police precinct. I don't know why I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but you'll find it. And it's a really great store. And if you need any children's clothes or accessories, that sort of thing, they go from like baby up to, I don't know, kid size, whatever you call that genre of kids. Anyway, so that's my commercial plug. Maybe I'm stalling because I'm afraid to delve into these questions. All right, here we go. Okay, the first question I have is goes like this. My wife is pregnant, and I'm worried that when the baby is born, she'll be more in love with him than me. I can't admit this to anyone. I thought that was a really sweet question, and it's a really interesting concern for a dad to have. It's a like I said, it's a very valid concern, and it's kind of a little difficult to answer that question, because my feeling is that having a baby does change everything. It changes everything in your life, in the mother's life, of course, but also in your life together as a couple. And I think, you know, going into it, to acknowledge that, I mean, I'm sure like everybody knows that on a certain level, but to actually experience it and really understand firsthand what that's like is a pretty intense process. And within that process comes the notion of, will my wife love him more? And, you know, of course, it's hard to qualify that sort of or, you know, I mean, just how do you really, what does that really mean? Does it mean that she's going to be paying more attention to the baby? Does it really make like an equality of love? And I guess the best way to answer that is, yes, she will love that baby more. I mean, the love you feel for a child, and this is something that you as a father will experience as well, but the love you feel for a child is completely different than the love you feel for anything else in your life. Because it's like, it's 100% unconditional, and it's very rare that we feel that way about other human beings, right? So to acknowledge that, you'll see that in your wife's behavior, but you also see it in yours. And I guess the fear here in this particular question is that the father would feel sort of left out of that little bond. It's true, mothers have a very tight bond with their child, and it's something that you will need to respect and acknowledge on a certain level, because there's no getting around that, and you shouldn't get around that. That's, you know, something to be admired and respected, is the bond and connection that a mother has with her child. And in certain ways, I mean, in terms of parenting, if you kind of want to do things on a very sort of, you know, even ground, like, you know, we're parenting as partners, you will have to kind of concede to her every once in a while, where, you know, where you're sort of following her intuition and her lead. So, you know, for example, something like breastfeeding, you know, it's like, well, it might not be up to you, the father, to determine how and when and for how long she's going to do something like that. So that's just an example of kind of learning to take a step back and to trust her intuition. Another area that becomes tricky is when you have a sick child, you know, and both parents are concerned and stressed and they don't know what to do. So those are, you know, kind of the stumbling blocks that go on in the first few months. I mean, you're both just learning how to do this, and I don't know what I'm trying to say. I mean, I'm just trying to, I suppose what I'm trying to say is that, you know, as intent as you might be as being like an equal partner in parenting, it's also, you occasionally will have to take a step back and let the mother sort of either take the lead, or, you know, or just sort of trust her own intuition. So it's, while she's learning to trust her intuition, you're learning to trust her as well, and to figure out a way to negotiate that in a way that's not combative and creates more stress and, you know, and mayhem with whatever situation you're dealing with. And I mentioned sick child because that's like an example of a particularly stressful time. So to go back, to bring this back to the original question about the loving issue, don't worry about it. That'll all figure itself out. And like I said, you'll be surprised how you feel about your own child and the bond and connection that you feel, and how that'll sort of crowd out most everyone else in your life.